Welcome to the podcast of disaster. I am Jorlem, and today we are in a special episode of OC Talk after many long time. Today we have a guest who's going to speak about his OC. Please present yourself.
Hello, my name is Static the Hedgehog.
Nice to
Um,
have you. Nice
it's
to have you. Oh, go
it,
ahead. Go ahead.
it's really nice to be here as well. I'm very much looking forward to this.
And all of us are looking forward to do this and hear about your OC today. Which, thus being the question, what is your OC name?
My OC name is the same as mine. It's Static the Hedgehog.
Ooh, static, just like the owner. uh,
hmm
what inspire you to make them?
Well, I've been a fan of Sonic for about two decades now. Um, and I'm a big fan of both Sonic and superheroes. So I pretty much made a character inspired by all my special interests.
Special interest. So,
Yes,
so it's basically a combine of all of them into one character.
pretty much. Yes. He's his like inspiration is a good mix of Spider-Man, Optimus Prime, a little bit of Star Wars, um, some inspirations from Sonic, like both movie and game,
Mm-hmm.
um, and some from anime like Goku and Deku as well.
Six,
Also
six,
has
six characters.
a little more I have, but yeah, we'll go with that six.
What else?
Um, he also is inspired by Superman a little bit.
Superman.
He's a very hopeful character.
Aw, nice.
Um, and yeah, that's pretty much everything.
All right.
That's like what I have going on for him.
All right. Then I guess we move to the next question. Do they have a family?
Yes. They have, of course, a mother and father. They also have two siblings,
Oh,
a brother and a sister.
what can you tell us about the siblings?
Yes. He has a sister named Anne.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she is a sort of outlaw character. Um, she also has a robotic arm, and she acts pretty much a lot like Amethyst from Steven Universe, at least to me, and also Yang from Ruby.
Yang. Oh, it's
And
been a
then,
while. It's been a while since I heard somebody mention Ruby in a long time.
yeah. And he also has a brother. Um, haven't picked a normal name for him yet, but currently he goes by Vortex, and he is um someone who is roboticized and is able to control he's able to control energy, and also Anne is um she has a bit of a temper, so she's also able to control fire.
Fire. Basically a
Yes.
voice.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Apiokinesis.
Yes.
Anything else to add?
Um, for right now, no. Uh, I think when we get to the lore question, there'll be more to explain of them.
Very well, very well. In that case, let's move to the next one. What is their favorite things to do, like food or activities?
Activities. He he gets around a lot, pretty much the same like Sonic. He's a nomad. He likes to travel the world, explore different activities like extreme gearing or breakdancing, that kind of stuff. He's very interested in how most of the Earth is, like from looks and people. Um, and his favorite food is between a garlic bread, grilled cheese, or just a pizza.
That's nice. Um, in that case, let's move to the next one. Do they have transformations or powers?
Yes, static is his powers are electricity.
Oh,
So your movie Sonic, your Miles Morales, your um, Flash, pretty much like that. Um, he gets this from uh, chaos shards that were infused into his. The energy was infused into his body, and along with that, he's able to have a healing touch. So basically, he can heal your scratches and cuts no problem. Uh, Reattaching like an arm is a little straining, but fixing like a big hole in your chest is going to take a lot of his energy. But yes, the electricity, he's able to run pretty fast. He's also able to um, transfer his energy into parts of his body. He's also able to make um, sort of an electromagnetic pulse at some point. And he's also been able to, he has metal plates on his fingertips and on the bottoms of his shoes. So, say he's on something metal, he can transfer all of the energy into his fingertips and his shoes to pretty much serve as like a magnet.
huh. That's that's a lot to take in. All right, and
I've been creating him for a very long time, so along with the vast knowledge of again superheroes and stuff, I like being a little creative.
anything else to add about his powers and stuff?
He does have a super transformation. He also has a dark transformation. He does obtain a hyper transformation, and at one point he does end up gaining a sort of werehog, but it's more mixed with the dark form.
Huh.
And then, of course, there is the overcharge, which is just turning up his powers like tenfold.
Huh. Uh,
And that's just pretty much everything.
all right. Um, the next question: do they have a job?
They're pretty much your local hero. Um, they oh, I forgot to mention with the family they were a sort of royal family um, until a certain thing until something happened where pretty much their kingdom kind of fell and they pretty much lost their power, but they're not too heartbroken of it because they both Static and his siblings like kind of being more free instead of the responsibilities of running an entire kingdom.
They want to be free.
Yes, free to be themselves, free for other people. They like being the local heroes.
That's nice. Uh, in that case, let's move to the next question. Are they connected to? Are they connected or they know somebody for their Sonic verse? Using the canon wise.
So no, in they're similar to like Blaze, where they're they have their own universe. Where no like canonical Sonic character exists, and they're more like Static is a version of Sonic, and of course he has his Eggman, he has his Amy, he has his own um characters that are similar to the Sonic characters, but no, they are not all connected. But they do. I do plan to possibly do a collaboration, including both universes at some point.
Nice. In that case, I guess we move to the next one. Um, do they have a love interest?
Yes, they do.
Oh,
In fact, he kind of has a bit of a love triangle going on.
oh, love
Um,
triangle.
yes. One of the love interests is named Cora, who's an orange cat. She's also an android. And the other one is um, an OC's friend of mine who goes by Bella. She's a circus jester koala.
Huh. Why? What can you tell us about this love triangle? How it started?
So Static and Bella have a bit of history because they were both also royalty, but then once an event happened, um, they oh sorry, they pretty much left the whole royalness behind, and Bella sort of acts as a traveling circus mixed with like Robin Hood, steal from the rich, give to the poor kind of thing. But she and Static pretty much act a lot like Sonic and Rouge together. One's a little more flirty, the other one's more heroic. And then for Korra, it will definitely be explained during the lore part, but Static found her, and since she's an android, she doesn't have a life of her own. She was pretty much created for evil, but her programming, but she reprogrammed her in a way where she's more kinder, she's more shy, she's very introverted in a way where she's not really connected to anybody, but Static does try to help her find a purpose with her life and pretty much explore the greatness of life.
Neat. I guess now it's time for the next question. Do they have a rival or enemy?
Yes, they have several.
Oh boy.
They have two who are pretty much the two versions of Eggman. One is the more goofier side, the one that wants to create a whole theme park for themselves, but do sort of nefarious things. His name is Bumbus the Magnificent, who is a circus leader slash scientist. Um, and then you have the other one who is more like Sat-AM Robotnik, where he goes to planet robot and tries to roboticize and take over the world. And that is the Omega Lord, who is a 7.5 foot giant robot, pretty much the same kind of goal as like Ultron. Um, he has a sort of rival who is a hybrid of sorts, a mix between a snake, a spider, a scorpion, and a chameleon. And then there is one who I call the Council of Gaia. Pretty much the like the they they're like the ones that are connected, quote unquote, to the gods of the Mobius and are like the voices for them. But because their ways are so different, they don't really see eye to eye, especially with one of them who ends up turning over to a darker force in a way. And that's about as much of the villains as I have. There
Uh,
definitely will be more explored, but for right now, those are the main villains.
all right. Then next question. Do they have fan art?
God, I wish.
Oh.
I I really would love that more than anything. I usually just like to commission people because everybody has a very talented, very lovely art, and I can't help myself when um, wanting to see my characters come to life in a commission. But fan art would definitely be a dream come true.
Well, if they, even if they are commission art, they still count for us. So if you want to show it, go ahead.
Yes. It'll definitely be a moment.
Hey, Static, that's a very lovely pictures. So, but
Thank
the
you.
people right now would be seeing it on the screen alongside with the gameplay of the thing we have in the background. But now it brings us to the next question, which we've been saving them for a while. What is the lore?
Oh boy, the lore of my character. So I have a couple of chapters of them. Some aren't completely finished, some are, but I will probably only go up to from 1 to 4. Um, so for the first chapter, like I said, Static is somebody of is one of born of royalty. Um, family, very popular. Um, helped during uh, the Great Gaia War. compared with the light Gaia and the dark Gaia. Um, they are celebrated along with Static and his siblings. Static is also named Maxwell because it's a sort of play on words because max as in like max voltage, so like static. um, so during the celebration, um, they were invaded by the one known as the Omega Lord, who has been plotting and planning um, to dwindle the resources and army down for enslavement. Um, he planned for this by taking the brilliant minds that were taken prisoner and some who were kidnapped into experimentation. We'll get to them in a bit. Um, as the king is preparing for the preparing to fight, he orders Static and his family to run to the shelter to help others. And as they're running down the hall, an explosion happens, knocking out Static, but incapacitating both his brother and his mother. His sister was left under some rubble, presumed dead, and the Omega Lord took both him and his brother to his space station, where they were there for nearly a month, being prepared for testing as they were taking other um, hostages, other people to experiment on for they're researching about the power of the chaos shards, the chaos crystals, and just testing on the people before testing on humans. And Static being up next, he takes the energy and absorbs it and pretty much leaves a big explosion. And along with that, his father, he invades the pretty much like a Death Star in a way to rescue his sons. And when he reaches to Static, he is scared because he now has this new abilities that he cannot control. So as they're running, they try to go to a escape pod to return home. But as they get attacked by the one known as Arsenic, the hybrid character that I was referring to. And as they get to one of the pods, Static's father was stabbed. And along with that, he gets the cut on his ear, which is filled with a sort of poison almost, but more like a fear inducing drug. And he gets taken just as the pod was ejecting, pretty much seeing his father fade away from him. And then the story would start on Earth, where we focus on a city that is. It looks very futuristic in a way, but very blank and dull, as there's this new government who has taken over the entire planet almost. They have pretty much declared martial law, but crime is still very rampant, either with just criminals or people rebelling. The army is growing, but very scary, and our main the main person we see on Earth is somebody named Officer Samantha, who is sort of ex-cop now because she left when she found out that her entire police force was corrupt, and she didn't she didn't take that kindly, especially when that costed her husband's life. So she's been sort of undercover, off duty, trying to protect her son who is deaf. Um, and as she is looking out, trying to, like, she feels hopeless in a way where nothing really matters. It's just the same thing over and over until she sees what she thought was a shooting star crashing down on the planet. She immediately drives over to the place where she's not really supposed to be, but she doesn't really care. She goes to investigate, and upon appearing at the crash site, she comes across Statichh, who is like a scared and lost puppy, a scared and lost child, begging to not be harmed. And when she sees that, she immediately thinks he's not threatening at all. But then they hear helicopters and loudspeakers telling to sweep the area, and that's when Statichh runs away from her. And as she gets back to her car, Statichh runs into the city, still scared and pretty much hallucinating now because all he can see is just nightmare inducing visions because of the drug. Statichh does meet up with Samantha again, and they both run and hide out of plain sight, pretty much in the sewers, where there's a sort of civilization lying under a very much underground civilization where people hide from what's above because they're afraid. Um, they rebel against the current order of things. Unlike other people who are they encourage it. They encourage the fear. They encourage they're like one-sided, and they get endorsed with it. Statichh then, after a few months, is feeling a little better, but still scared because he was taken from both his home, his family, his friends, his planet, and now he's on a new planet with these new freaky powers that he holds, and is still not very trusting of others. But Samantha still sees him as a lost child, and in a way is protecting him from the people who are trying to take him to do the bad, unspeakable things to him. And during this, we see them blending into the crowds above, as there's a new rally going on with the Madam Secretary, or no, she's not a Madam Secretary, she's a princess, trying to uphold, trying to fight back in a way with this current government. But as she does that, there she gets interrupted by Bumpus, Magnificent, who takes the government officials and the princess hostage and terrorizes the streets. And Static, seeing all the terror, all this that's happening, he doesn't sit well with it. So he goes around to save as many as he can. And the Bumbus controls a robotic army, pretty much like the Freddy Fazbear animatronics or the Badniks, as they terrorize the streets. But they don't necessarily kill, they more just frighten and injured. And Static, with a with a current courage, is trying to help others. He goes to find where Bumbus took the hostages and brings them to a carnival, a rundown carnival, where he goes to save the others and then comes across Bumpus, and also comes across this sort of superhero task force, because in this world there were superheroes, like sort of like an Overwatch kind of thing, but disbanded. And instead there's this new group that fully endorses this new government and everything that happens. So they're not exactly the greatest. They act pretty much more like characters from like The Boys in a way. So as he's fighting both the Badniks, Bumbus, and this new task force of heroes, quote unquote, he learns more about Bumbus in a way, how he was somebody who used to work with the government along with his brother. But as he's seen the terrors of what's happened, he left he left in pursuit to make people happy. He wanted to make a carnival, a sort of big amusement park full of robots that bring people joy, but then was run down because a certain somebody tampered with the animatronics and pretty much scared everybody and painted a bad picture of Bumbus. So now with this, the government's been tracking him because he now thinks that they now think that he used them to lure people to harm them. But it was the opposite, as it was his brother who actually tampered with the robots, because he didn't want to leave the government. He wanted to pursue with everything, but Bumbus didn't feel the same. So in a sort of jealousy, in a sort of rage, he ruined his brother's dream. And in a fit of rage, they both end up in a fight that ends up with an electrical current exploding on them, pretty much damaging Bumbus's psyche, giving him a split personality, where he is a mix between his kinder self and his more anger side. And so Static sees this and he feels terrible. He feels bad for him, and knows that this isn't really him. This is just something, the anger that built up in him talking. So as Bumbus makes an escape, so does Statichh, and Statichh will be looked at and on the hunt from the government. Still, just now they have a clearer picture of him. And throughout his adventures, he goes through a bit of a phase. He goes from being the scared kid to an angry kid because now with this power, he kind of is angry with himself because he's taking out his frustrations on himself, thinking that with this he could have done something. He could have saved everyone on his planet, but he's being unfair. And that's when Samantha pretty much snaps some sense into him, tells him that his powers are not a curse, it's a gift. It's something to look forward to. He's to be hopeful for. To now, with this power, comes essentially a greater responsibility to help others so that they don't end up like how he did. And that pretty much cements his personality. He now goes from anger to hopeful, cheerful. He now acts, like I said, like Sonic, like Superman, like Optimus Prime, like Spider-Man. Um, he's hopeful, he's jokey, he's cocky a bit, but not overly cocky. Um, and now with this power, he's learning to control himself. He's learning to like adapt with his powers and tries to grow stronger for the people that he fights for. And he also comes across other heroes who help him out, like this one who is pretty much a mix between Speed Racer and a Power Ranger. And his car can transform too. And he becomes his hero, his mentor. He helps him out with saving the world and also fighting to get stronger. And he also meets another who is like a mob boss vigilante who helps cleans his street to make sure no crime, no nothing happens on his neighborhood. Very big guy. He has his own army of people who help, but he is a friendly giant in a way. And then 2 years go by as Statichh is now kind of like shown that he's more of a hero. Like he's very caring for others. He helps fight against this injustice and tries to help make the world a better, safer place. Trying to bring back the life that was snuffed away from the city, from the whole world. And he still fights the government who is still corrupt. This government isn't exactly the official government. It's more of a shadow government that rose up from the ground, from the shadows, and put themselves in the light. And they've been doing this for almost a decade and a half now. So he's helping fight that and comes across with this powerful AI, pretty much like GLaDOS, who has been pulling the strings, has been like the eyes in the sky for for this shadow government. And while he's fighting for the people, he does end up getting captured. And once he comes face to face with this giant robot, he says the same thing that Samantha told him, that he used to think that this power was a curse, that now he couldn't save his family, his friends, his home, and thought that he was stuck like this forever. But now he has a purpose. He has something to fight for, to make sure that nothing like that ever happens to anyone else again. And he will use his gifts to grow stronger and fight those who have taken everything from anyone, and that includes the robot, who he uses all of his powers to destroy in a way. And that kind of energy goes like unnoticed. Like the whole galaxy kind of knows, or at least the satellites, who paint a picture of Static after the fight. And as he's doing his normal saving the city routine, he comes across somebody in a sort of cowboy outsider getup who gets in a fight with him. And like as they both come to a like tiebreaker, the outlaw reveals themselves as Anne, Statich's sister, and they embrace because it's been years. They thought they were dead. And Anne goes through her story where she was taken prisoner for years and pretty much built her own rebellion against the Omega Lord. And as they were still fighting, as they get this spike of energy from planet Earth, and as the satellites came on, like as they hacked into it to get a better view of it, they saw Static fighting, and Anne immediately, like no hesitation, grabs a portal ring, opens it up, and then heads straight to Earth. And now with reuniting, she plans to help bring him back to his planet. And as he says his goodbyes, Static joins his sister to fight another fight on his planet. And that is the end of chapter 1. And we go on to chapter 2, where as they go back to Mobius, Static sees how it goes from a beautiful, mythical, like D&D mixed with like medieval, mixed with Japanese kind of culture. The grass and trees were colorful. The buildings were magnificent, mixed between Japanese cultured towers and castles. All that now turned to a futuristic steampunk, steam cyberpunk kind of factories, buildings. The clouds have darkened, the grass has turned dull, and Static could not believe what has happened to his beloved planet, and vows to help his sister bring back what was. And he does try to make a name for himself there too, as when he first joins, they're pretty much mad at both of them because they don't know anything about him. Maybe he was a like secret soldier, like maybe it's like a clone of Statichh. They didn't really trust him, especially with his powers, but eventually he would help around pretty much destroy all the factories, all the like releasing people from the prisons. But Omega Lord sees all this and would send out what is essentially a group of mercenaries that he has made, including Arsenic, the hybrid, pretty much making them the seven deadly sins in a way. Omega Lord is very he's a history buff because that was what he was created with. He takes a lot of inspirations from both the Romans, the Greeks, the like anything from history, and one of those end up being the seven deadly sins. And as the freedom fighters here fight the seven deadly sins and help recruiting others, saving others, bringing back their planet. One of them, both Statichh and Anne knows, after getting a good look, is their brother, who goes by the name of Vortex, or well, he goes by Death, because not only can he fly with energy, he also has these energy sickles that can cut the air and either make a black hole or a sort of portal. And Statichh, like seeing this, he also, I forgot to mention, during the adventure, Statichh comes across his family's bracelet, which is like Chip's bracelet, except instead of it just being a normal bracelet, the bracelet is able to summon a godly sword, like a flaming sword, which is what you'll see in some of the commissioned art that I sent. So the bracelet is connected to one of the light Gaias, and the bracelet kind of connects with Statichh in a way where whoever wields the bracelet shall become worthy of the blade that comes with it, as a sort of honor. And it's very balanced for the user, so Statichh can use it. He can use his sword pretty much exactly like how Anakin Skywalker would. It's very balanced for him, so it's not too heavy, it's not too light. And Anne also gets another bracelet from them. Same kind of thing, because this bracelet is a twin to the other bracelet, but for this, it's a spear. And this spear pretty much works exactly like the God of War spear from Ragnarok. So they both have these powerful items to help combat them against Vortex, who during this heated battle, they do end up getting their brother back. And he is terrified of what he has turned into, because he remembers everything that happened, from the explosion to them rebuilding him up until this point in time where he has become pretty much a winter soldier. So, them getting him back to his senses, um, he helps in the fight against the seven deadly sins. It comes across arsenic, who is a very tough battle for them. And as he reveals that he was the one who murdered their father, they did not take lightly to that, and they didn't really kill him off, but like he falls into a bottomless pit, presumably dead, and that pretty much puts into Omega Lord's plans to help rule the universe, because his plan is, because of how life dwindles, how short life is, he's looking to gain power to basically overthrow the entire universe, pretty much making flesh and blood obsolete and machinery live on forever. In his quest of power to find the most powerful objects to help him in that goal. And so we go from 2 years to now 4 years. So Static was 14 at the time. Now him and Vortex are 18, around, pretty much. They don't have a confirmed age like current Sonic characters do, but in this time, I'll say that from 3 and onwards, he'll be around 18. Mostly all of the characters will be. And during those years, Vortex goes on his own quest to pretty much find himself in a similar way to Shadow the Hedgehog. And during that, they'll find Static, and everybody will find more recruits, more people, which for this is sort of me wanting to be like, because I want this series to be for everyone. And this is more to people if they would like to join this, if they want to be a part of this story, a part of the characters, to bring their OCs to life. They're free to send them this way, and we can try to work out a way to insert your character here to either be a part of the main story, the part of the main cast, or even as a background. Um, um, so yes, they do end up recruiting enough people, and this is where chapter 3 comes, where they start to plan.
Uh,
Um,
sorry to
and
interrupt you, but uh, I let's say chapter 3 for the people, because we don't want to show everything like right now.
right, I was worried about, because I was worried about how much I wanted to how much I wanted to say for the characters. Again, I have a lot.
All right, then let's move to the last question, which is, what do you want them to be at the end of your story? Yeah, good ending, bad ending, that stuff.
Like, story for the OC, or story just for me,
For you, for
like
you,
in general.
for you.
For me, I want to make something to make people happy. I want something that will both make me happy and make other people happy. And as I want I want this, if given the opportunity, I want to start a new life for myself, a new chapter, because if I can be honest, I'm not currently happy with where I'm at in my life, and I can't blame that on anyone but myself because I am very scared of the world. I People are angry now, people are scared, people feel like they're untouchable. They get up in your face about everything, and that's not how I want things to be. I just want to be happy with where I'm at. I want to make other people feel happy, and I want to make something that will live on even if something were to happen to me.
Uh, okay. Uh, well, I guess the next thing is to end the episode. Uh, Tell me, do you have any kind of social media that people can go and see the rest of your stuff? For example, the other
Yes,
chapters.
I do have a Twitter. Um, I don't post on it a lot, but it's I might send you I might send you a link to it afterwards. Um, but I again I have a Twitter. I I would like to do more like streaming, so hopefully maybe get a YouTube or a Twitch maybe sometime in the future. I don't know yet, but currently that's all I have. Oh wait, I do also have a Blue Sky as well, but again, I don't post on that as much.
All right. In that case, this will be the end of the OC Talk episode. Thank you, Static, for coming here and showing your OC and share about his story and other stuff.
Thank you for having me aboard, and I apologize for rambling on as much. But I'm very thankful to be here. I'm hoping this might pique other people's interests, and maybe this maybe will put me somewhere on a spotlight, but hopefully nothing too drastically big. But thank you again for having me on here.
It it's okay. Thank you for showing up and talking. It's been fun.
It has been fun, and I hope to do more of this sometime in the future, maybe. And if anybody is interested to learn more about my OCs and my stories, then feel free. Um, feel free to
To
share a
ask.
message or like make some fan art, whichever one you like. It would really mean a lot to me.
Yeah. All right. This has I am your name, and this has been OC Talk. If you want your OC to appear in OC Talk, join the Discord server in the description, and send your application. I will be there to respond, or maybe my other co-hosts that sadly could not show up today because they were kind of busy, time constraints. But
Hmm.
But if anybody wants to, be here for the OC, reminder, it doesn't have to be Sonic related. It can be any kind of OC. So, with that said, I am your Lem. This has been
And
another episode of OC Talk, and time to say goodbye. Bye.
peace out.